Hey, what's up everyone? Danny here. I recently redid my desk setup to incorporate standing desks into it, and I'm really liking the new change. Redoing my desk setup was a perfect way to welcome in the new year and the new decade. So let's check it out. So what had happened was Autonomous reached out to me asking if I wanted to check out some of their standing desks. And I was like, yes, I would. Because I had been looking into new desk options for a while now, since I wasn't happy with my current setup since we moved into our new home here. My main issue with the desk was that it was slightly too tall. It's an IKEA countertop paired with two Alex Jory units, which has a height of 29 inches to the top of the table. And it's a fixed height, so I can't just make it lower. It's just fixed. And me being on the shorter side, it's a few inches too high for me. And also one of my requirements for my desk setup is that I want enough desk surface to accommodate a second person so that either Melissa or guests that come over can work in my office. And when it's just me, it acts as a workspace for building PCs, benchmarking, or doing other projects. So that's why with my IKEA desk setup, I chose the 98-inch countertop, which seemed like a lot of space horizontally, but the drawers that prop it up actually take up a decent chunk of real estate underneath the desk because of how wide they are. So there's actually less space than you'd think, and our rolling chairs would constantly be bumping into it every time we got up or sat down. So the height wasn't working for me, and the horizontal space ended up being more cramped than I had thought. So it was perfect timing that Autonomous reached out to me. Autonomous is a company that sells office furniture, but they're mainly known for their electric standing desks. They offer a variety of shapes and colors for their tabletops, so you can find something that fits your taste, whether it be a standard rectangular desk, an L desk, or maybe even an executive style. Their pricing is pretty competitive for what they offer, since there's only a handful of companies that sell electric standing desks with programmable heights and are able to hold the weight capacity that they do for below $400. Autonomous desks start at around $380, but with sales throughout the year, you can bring that down a little bit more. The only way an adjustable desk is much cheaper than that is if you get one of those manual crank ones. But I've used those before and I don't like them at all. It takes forever to get the desk up and down. The ratio of rotation to lifting is very bad. And those are still pretty expensive anyways. Or you can just get a desk that's electric but not programmable. Those are a little bit cheaper as well. But I wouldn't pass up on the programmable features after I've used it now. You know, it's really nice to be able to press the height that you want and have the desk do all the work for you, and you can focus on something else instead of having to hold your finger there the whole time. And it gets it right every time. You could also buy standalone legs and figure out the tabletop for yourself, but depending on what you get for a tabletop, that could drive the price right back up and require more DIY. So if we're talking about like a complete frame and tabletop with electronic programmable features, then Autonomous is one of the options that stands out. I'll have their website link down below so that you can check out what combinations they have to offer. But their standard desk is the SmartDesk 2, which comes in two variants, the home office and business office models. The ones that I'm using are the business office, and the only difference between the two models are the height range. The home office has a range of 29 to 48 inches, and the business desk has a range of 26 to 52 inches. So the business model can go a little bit lower and a little bit higher. I'm not that tall, I'm only 5'6", and Melissa is super short. She's only 4'9", so between the two of us, me using this on a daily basis and her working occasionally in my office, the business office model was the obvious choice for the extra few inches of lowered height. The home and business have two tabletop options that you can choose from, the Classic and XL. The XL is 73 inches long, but that wasn't long enough for me because remember, I'm looking for around a 100-inch solution so I can comfortably sit two people there and have plenty of space for a dedicated workbench. So that's why I incorporated two desks with the classic tops in tandem. So at 53 inches long, that gives me 106 inches of desk space at my disposal. And it actually works out really well since it gives a lot of flexibility for that second person, or if I'm working on projects that require different heights. It's kind of like a sleep number bed where each side can have like its own number, but in this case, it's height instead of like mattress firmness. Each desk ships in two boxes, and one box has the legs and the other box has the tabletop. Be mindful of where these desks are going in your home because these boxes are pretty heavy, so you may or may not need help lifting them. The tabletop weighs about 40 pounds and the legs with the motors weigh close to 70 pounds. Assembly time took roughly 30 minutes per desk, and it's very simple. They give really clear instructions and it's all laid out. The only tools you need are an Allen wrench, which is provided, and a Phillips screwdriver, which is not provided, but most households should already have that. If not, then go down to Harbor Freight and buy a cheap one. But Autonomous also sells cable trays that are compatible with these desks to keep everything nice and tidy underneath, because like I know a lot of people love that IKEA Signum rack. This is kind of like that, except specific to these desks, and it's a little bit more covered than that too to hide the mess. So with the desk assembled, the first thing that I had to do before I started getting stuff onto it was test that 300-pound weight capacity that they claim on their website. Most of the other budget electric standing desks at this price, like from Monoprice or from IKEA, they have weight capacities of around half of that, like around 150 to like 175 pounds. Now I don't think anyone will ever need to load a desk up to 300 pounds. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know I won't have to. But just having that extra capability lets you confidently load it up with whatever configuration you want. You can have like multi-stack monitor setups, and then like a huge PC tower, and you won't have to worry about it. And you know, you can lean on it with a lot of weight on top of all those things, and you're not gonna have to worry about your desk giving out on you. So for testing, I grabbed my weights from my home gym and I loaded the desk up to the limit with myself on top. Looking back, this probably wasn't the safest thing to do, and if the legs or tabletop did break on me for whatever reason, I probably could have gotten really hurt. So don't try this at home. Just watch me do it to prove it. The desk passed with flying colors, and the speed and motor noise with all the weight was the exact same, whether or not it had all that weight on it or none of it. You know, it didn't give any indication of struggling or being overloaded, so the legs and motors check out. So the tabletop is made out of medium density fiberboard, and some people may worry that it's not as rigid as solid wood. So I did another test, applying weight away from the legs to try to get the most deflection. Here's me at 140 pounds applying a very concentrated load in the very center of the desk, probably the worst case scenario that you'll have, and there's virtually no flex. So the tabletop also checks out. One thing you have to consider with adjustable height desks is how you're going to cable manage it. Since the desk is moving, you have to have some slack in your cables, otherwise it's going to be pulling on your stuff. I guess you could have everything just hanging down if you want and if you don't care about the looks, but I wanted to make this as clean as possible, so I did this by only having one single power strip per desk running to the wall. That strip sits on the cable tray, and then the plug for the desk alongside the PC, monitor, external storage devices, or anything else I need to be plugged in, it goes into that strip. That way I have only a single moving cable to worry about. To keep the power strip cables routed nice and neat, I use some of these PVC J channels, as well as this flexible tube stuff, which can be found on Amazon. They're fairly cheap and they're great for cable routing regardless of if you have an adjustable desk or a regular fixed height desk. You know, you can use these with normal desks too, and I've done that in the past. The reason I really like these though is because it matches with the legs very well. I think it came out looking really nicely, and if you're interested in the cable management stuff at all, I'll have that stuff linked in the description because I know a lot of people out there are interested in keeping their setups nice and clean. So that's pretty much the desk. Now let's look at my actual setup. What I was going for is more on the simplistic side, but not so extreme and minimal to the point where the only thing on the desk are the keyboard and mouse, like a lot of what you see on those Instagram-esque posts. I don't need to be that simple. On the top of my desk, I have a monitor riser from a brand called Fitui's, and this lifts the monitors and provides extra storage space for essential items like my external hard drives, camera batteries, battery banks, tablet, and anything like that that I want in arm's reach. The monitor I'm using is the same one that I've been using for nearly 5 years now, since before I had the Nerd on a Budget channel, and it's my good old trusty 34-inch ultra-wide LG 34UM67. This is still only a 2560 by 1080p 60Hz monitor, so I'm still a little bit behind with the times on that when it comes to the display. Eventually I hope to upgrade to a 1440p monitor that's ultra-wide with a higher refresh rate, but I'm just waiting for them to drop in price a bit because they're still kind of expensive. The PC I'm using is the one I built in the Lian Li TU150 not too long ago, and I'll have the video with details on that in the card in the top right as well as in the description for anyone interested. But basically it's rocking a Ryzen 5 3600, RTX 2060, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Those are pretty much the key specs. My keyboard is the Velocifier TKL02WS, which is a wireless 10 keyless keyboard with content brown switches. My mouse is the Velocifier EBM02 vertical mouse, which I reviewed on the channel a couple years ago, and it's been my daily driver ever since then for everything I do, whether it be general computing, gaming, or editing, and it's still running strong. The headphones I'm using are a pair of Edifier W860NBs, which are my first pair of over-the-ear Bluetooth headphones. And I grabbed these with a VIP on code, so I got it for a fraction of the price. But if I didn't get a huge discount, I probably would have just stuck with my Audio-Technica M40Xs. But grabbing these and them being wireless, this was my first time going wireless on my main peripherals. The reason I never did it before was because I just kind of worried about the battery life a lot. I didn't want to have to constantly charge it. But that hasn't been an issue at all, actually. Everything charges pretty quickly and it lasts pretty long. I don't have to charge it a lot to the point where it's inconvenient. So I think the trade-off of having everything wireless is totally worth it. I'd give it a 10 out of 10, and I think I definitely should have done this a long time ago, because I don't think I can ever go back to having everything attached by a cord now that I've done this wireless thing. So coming back to the setup, the mouse and keyboard are sitting on top of an unbranded extra long gaming mat that also doubles as a protective layer for the tabletop to keep it kind of like pristine from scratches and dings over time. On the secondary desk, I bought a really large unbranded mouse mat that's almost the same size as the entire tabletop, and that will primarily be used for building PCs on, while also doubling as a huge mouse surface for anyone who happens to be using it for computing, or if I'm working on other projects, it also still protects the desk. The speakers I'm using are the Logitech Z333s, and they're really affordable 2.1 speakers that have a really clean and simple look to them. I really like it, and they deliver plenty of sound and power for my needs. And last but not least, my chair, my trusty Staples hiking chair. I get questions about this chair all the time. People are super interested anytime it's in a video at all, despite its simple looks. This is one of the most popular mesh chairs on deal websites like Slick Deals and Build a PC sales, and that's how I found mine. And they usually go on sale for around $120. It's a solid office chair that's affordable, it's durable, it looks nice without being super over the top like you're getting ready to race Dominic Toretto in the gang. And most importantly, when you fart in it, it goes right through the chair instead of building up inside the cushions like a lot of other chairs. It's a great chair overall. I have no complaints about it. I really like it, and I'm going to use it for a while. So there you have it, my new desk setup for 2020 and beyond. So now for some overall thoughts. I haven't come across any literature that proves with like facts or science and data that standing desks provide that much more of a health benefit than sitting down. All I know is that personally, for me, I'm already sitting in front of the computer most of the hours I'm at my day job. Then I come home and then I sit in front of my own computer, whether it be to browse the internet, play games, or work on videos for YouTube. So between all that sitting, I personally really like the option of being able to stand and stretch my legs. I fidget a lot too when I'm sitting. I'm constantly like tapping or bouncing my leg and readjusting. So standing is a good way to keep my legs occupied and to not do all of those things. And another benefit is on the workbench side of things. You know, standing while building a computer is like infinitely times better than sitting down. Like, I don't ever want to sit down when I build a computer again. I'm going to be standing from here on out. You know, I can set it to the perfect height I want, and I can have access to everything. I can lean in, I can lean out, maneuver on the side without constantly being like hunched over or have my butt halfway off the seat. I just like it a lot more, and I'm looking forward to using these desks for a lot of future projects to come. I'll have links to everything that you just saw in this video in the description below. From the standing desks to what's used in my own setup and the cable management stuff, just in case you saw something that you may have liked and wanted to incorporate into your own setup. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video though. I want to thank you as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my new setup as much as I enjoyed putting it together and then sharing it with you. Let me know your general thoughts down below, and also do you use a standing desk? If so, how do you like it? And if not, are you interested in one? Or do you think it's just like a huge gimmick? I'm very curious what you all have to say. I look forward to seeing you all down in the comments below, as well as in the next video. Bye.